The Valfarians were old, older than most life in the galaxy. For 10,000 years, they ruled the stars with their advanced technology and nearly immortal bodies. No species dared to challenge them. The 100 worlds of the Andromeda Coalition bowed to Valfarian wisdom and power. Admiral Zephyr stood on the command deck of the Valfarian flagship, his tall, slender body glowing with a faint blue light. His species had evolved beyond the need for traditional speech long ago. They communicated through patterns of light and subtle quantum vibrations. "Another sector scan complete, Admiral," reported Sub-Commander Lyra, her skin shifting to a formal pattern of green and gold. All systems normal. Zephyr was about to dismiss her when an alert flashed across the main viewing field. Unusual. Energy readings detected in Sector 87C. Unregistered technology signature. This was unexpected. The Valfarians had mapped every intelligent species in their section of the galaxy. There should be no surprises. "Deploy a scout vessel," Zephyr commanded, his skin pulsing with authority. "I want answers, not mysteries." The Eternal Light, the fastest exploration vessel in the Valfarian fleet, departed within the hour. Weeks later, and 12 light years away, Captain William Carter of the Earth exploration vessel Intrepid checked the ship's logs for the 3rd time that morning. His brown eyes scanned the data with practiced efficiency. "Just another routine survey mission," he said to no one in particular. The Intrepid had been mapping this section of space for nearly 2 months. They had found interesting stellar phenomena, but no signs of intelligent life. Science. Officer Olivia Morgan looked up from her console. Her red hair was pulled back in a practical ponytail, and her green eyes showed a hint of boredom. "If you call a 6-month journey to the edge of known." "Space routine, sir." Carter smiled. Morgan always spoke her mind, which was why he had requested her for this mission. "Fair point. But I was hoping for a bit more excitement than gas giants and asteroid fields." "Careful what you wish for, Captain," said Lieutenant Greg Daniels from the pilot station. His dark skin contrasted with the blue glow of his console. "In space, excitement usually means danger. Alert." The ship's computer suddenly announced. Massive object approaching at sublight speed. The bridge crew snapped to attention. On the main screen, a massive vessel appeared, unlike anything they had ever seen. It seemed to bend the light around it, with a hull that shimmered like liquid metal despite its enormous size. "Scans indicate it's at least 20 times larger than the Intrepid," Morgan reported, her fingers flying over her. Console. "Power readings are ... off the charts. This technology is far beyond anything in our database." Carter stood, straightening his uniform. This was first contact, the moment every space explorer dreamed of and feared. Options, people? We could. "Retreat," suggested Security Chief Peter Walsh, his hand instinctively moving to the weapons console. "We're faster at short jumps. We could make it back to Outpost Delta and lead them straight to human territory." Carter shook his head. "No. If they wanted to attack, they would have done so already." "They're scanning us," Morgan announced. "Very intense scans. They're looking at everything from our hull composition to our life support systems." Carter made his decision. Open a channel. All frequencies, all formats. Let's introduce ourselves. "Are you sure that's wise, sir?" Walsh asked. "Humanity didn't get to the stars by hiding, Lieutenant," Carter replied. "We got here by taking calculated risks." For 10 tense minutes, the Intrepid transmitted basic greeting patterns, mathematical sequences, simple pictograms, and basic language samples. There was no response from the alien vessel. "They must think we're primitive," Morgan said quietly. "Like ants trying to talk to humans." Carter refused to be discouraged. "Keep trying different approaches." Morgan suddenly straightened in her chair. "Captain, I'm detecting unusual light patterns on their hull." They're changing in response to our transmissions. They communicate with light? Carter moved to her station. Not just light, Morgan said excitedly. The patterns correspond to quantum state changes. It's like they're speaking in quantum physics. Carter looked at her. Can you translate? Morgan bit her lip. Maybe. If I reconfigure our sensor array to detect quantum harmonics and match them to our linguistic database, ... Do it, Carter ordered. For the next hour, Morgan worked furiously while the alien ship maintained its position. Finally, she looked up, her face flushed with excitement. I think I've got it, sir. It's still rough, but I believe I can establish basic communication. Carter nodded. Send this message. We are humans from planet Earth. We come in peace and friendship. We wish to share knowledge. Morgan translated the message into the complex light and quantum patterns she had deciphered. The alien ship's hull suddenly blazed with bright patterns in response. They're responding. Morgan worked to translate. They identify themselves as ... Valtharians. They say they are. Oldest and most advanced species in this sector of the galaxy. They're surprised to find unknown intelligent life. Tell them we are explorers, Carter said. We seek to learn about the universe and its peoples. After Morgan sent the message, the response came faster this time. She read it with widening eyes. They say we are primitive but ... interesting. They invite us to approach for closer inspection. Well, that's a bit insulting, but it's progress, Carter said with a small smile. Maintain position for now. Let's not appear too eager. Just then, the ship's sensors blared another warning. Captain, called Lieutenant Daniels. Massive asteroid field approaching at high velocity. Unusual pattern. It's like they were deflected from somewhere else. Both ships lay directly in the path of the oncoming asteroids, which were moving too fast for normal evasion tactics. Shields to maximum, Carter ordered. Evasive maneuvers won't work. There are too many. We need to coordinate with the Valtharian vessel. Morgan quickly sent a message warning about the asteroids and suggesting cooperation. The Valtharian ship responded immediately, its hull glowing with urgent patterns. They're suggesting a joint approach, Morgan translated. Their ship can create a gravitational deflection field, but they need us to calculate the optimal asteroid trajectories, since we're more familiar with this region of space. Do it, Carter said. Feed them our sensor data and run those calculations. 4. The next 30 minutes, the two ships worked together. The Intrepid's computers calculated precise asteroid trajectories, while the massive Valtharian vessel projected an energy field that gently pushed the deadly rocks away from both ships. The danger passed. The Valtharian ship sent a new message. Morgan translated it with a look of amazement on her face. Captain, they say they're impressed by our quick thinking and adaptability. They've invited us to visit their homeworld. This is unprecedented, according to them. They say no new species has been invited to Valtharia Prime in over 10,000 years. Carter looked at the enormous alien ship, then at his crew. This was why they had ventured into the unknown, not just to find new stars and planets, but to forge connections across the vast emptiness of space. Send our acceptance, he said. Tell them humanity is honored to accept their invitation. As the message was sent, Carter couldn't help but feel that something momentous had just happened, something that would change the future of humanity and perhaps the galaxy itself. The journey to Valtharia Prime took 3 weeks. Captain Carter used this time to prepare his crew for the historic meeting. No human had ever encountered such an advanced alien civilization before. They needed to be careful, respectful, but also true to human values. Remember, Carter told his chosen delegation during their final briefing, we represent not just the Intrepid, but all of humanity. Olivia Morgan nodded as she studied the quantum language patterns she had been learning. Their technology is thousands of years beyond ours. We'll seem like children to them. Children can sometimes see things adults miss, Carter replied. Don't underestimate what we bring to this meeting. Security Chief Peter Walsh checked his standard issue sidearm one last time before securing it in its case. I still think we should bring more security. 4 of us is enough, Carter said firmly. Myself, Morgan, Walsh, and communications specialist Lisa Fisher. We go unarmed except for your ceremonial weapon. Chief Walsh. We come as friends, not warriors. The Intrepid dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Valtharian home system. What they saw next left everyone on the bridge speechless. Valthria Prime wasn't a planet. It was a Dyson sphere, an artificial structure built around not 1, but 2 stars. The massive sphere captured all energy from both stars, providing the Valtharians with nearly unlimited power. It's impossible, whispered Lisa Fisher, her blue eyes wide with wonder. The engineering required to build something like this. According to our scans, it's approximately 300 million kilometers in diameter, Morgan reported, her voice shaking slightly. The surface area would be billions of times larger than Earth. A Valtharian shuttle docked with the Intrepid to transport the human delegation to the surface of the sphere. The interior of the shuttle was designed for many different species, with adjustable seats and atmospheric controls. Der Valtharian guide introduced himself as Mentor Calax. Unlike Admiral Zephyr, he had modified his communication methods to speak audible English. Welcome, humans, Calax said, his tall body glowing with formal patterns. You are the first new species to visit our home in over 2,000 cycles. We are honored, Carter replied. Thank you for this historic opportunity. The shuttle journey provided stunning views of the Dyson sphere's outer surface. Massive energy collection arrays stretched as far as the eye could see, interspersed with docking facilities for ships of all sizes. They landed in what Kellex called the Central Hub, a city larger than all of Earth's major cities combined. Architecture was both beautiful and strange. Buildings that seemed to flow like water, structures that floated in mid-air, and transport tubes that moved people at incredible speeds. This is just one of 10,000 major population centers, Calax explained as they walked through the arrival terminal. Approximately 30 billion Valtharians live on the sphere, along with representative populations from all coalition species. Coalition species? Carter asked. The Andromeda Coalition includes all civilized worlds in this sector of the galaxy, Calax said. 73 species currently enjoy the protection and guidance of Valtharian wisdom. Something in the way he said protection and guidance made Carter exchange a quick glance with Morgan. There was an unspoken message there. The human delegation was brought to a massive structure called the Hall of Worlds. Inside was a circular chamber with seats for hundreds of representatives. At the center stood a raised platform where 12 Valtharians sat in ornate chairs. The High Council welcomes the human delegation, announced the central figure, his body glowing with complex patterns that Morgan's translator interpreted as Council Leader Xylox. Carter stepped forward and delivered the greeting they had prepared. Humanity is honored to meet the Valtharian people and the Andromeda Coalition. We come seeking friendship and knowledge. Xylox's body pulsed with what seemed like amusement. Your species is young, yet you venture boldly into space. We have observed your development since your first radio signals reached our outer sensors. Your progress has been unusually rapid. The meeting continued for several hours. The Council asked many questions about Earth, human history, and technology. Carter answered honestly, but carefully. He noticed that representatives from other species sat silently during the entire exchange, speaking only when directly addressed by a Valtharian. Finally, Xylox made an announcement. We have decided to offer humanity protected species status. Within the coalition, this is a great honor. You will receive Valtharian technology, defense systems, and guidance. In return, you will acknowledge Valtharian authority in all interstellar matters. Carter maintained a diplomatic smile. That is indeed a generous offer, Council Leader. However, I am not authorized to make such a decision for all humanity. We would need to discuss this with our government. Xylox's glow patterns shifted to what Morgan later translated as surprise and slight irritation. Of course, you may communicate with your leaders. In the meantime, you will be our honored guests. After the meeting, the human delegation was shown to luxurious quarters. Once they were alone, Carter activated a signal jammer Morgan had brought. Did anyone else notice that none of the other species spoke unless spoken to? Lisa Fisher asked. Immediately, Walsh nodded. This isn't an alliance. It's an empire. Protected species status, Morgan said, checking her translations again. The actual phrase is closer to supervised developing civilization, or even managed resource. Carter looked out the window at the impressive cityscape. They expect us to be grateful for the offer to become their servants. What do we do? Fisher asked. We learn, Carter replied. We observe. Tomorrow, they're allowing us access to their scientific archives. Morgan, you and I will go. Walsh, you and Fisher tried to make contact with other coalition species. Let's find out what this coalition really is. The next day, Morgan and Carter visited the Great Archive, a vast repository of Valtharian knowledge. The Valtharian scientists seemed pleased to show off their advanced understanding of physics, biology, and mathematics. Morgan, however, wasn't simply impressed. She was analyzing. While examining a Valtharian model of quantum gravity, she pointed to a section of equations. This approach creates a recursive error in multidimensional calculations, she said casually. That's why your model breaks down. At the quantum foam level, the Valtharian scientists stared at her. One of them, senior theorist Myrax, checked the equations. She's right, Myrax said, surprise evident in his light patterns. No one has identified this error in 700 years of review. Morgan continued pointing out similar issues in other models, not rudely, but matter-of-factly. By the end of the day, a crowd of Valtharian scientists had gathered around her, watching this human female identify flaws in their supposedly perfect theories. Meanwhile, Walsh and Fisher managed to speak with representatives from 3 different coalition species. All told similar stories. Their worlds had been invited into the coalition centuries ago. None dared to question Valtharian authority openly, but their carefully chosen words revealed the truth. They were subjects, not allies. That night, the human delegation compared notes. They're not evil, Carter said, but they've been the strongest for so long, they've forgotten how to see others as equals. And no one challenges them, Walsh added. The other species are too afraid or too dependent. Morgan looked thoughtful. Their science is advanced, but it's stagnant. They haven't had a major breakthrough in centuries. They've lost something. Important. What's that? Fisher asked. Morgan smiled. Creativity. The ability to question established ideas. That's why they were so shocked when I found those errors. No Valtharian would dare suggest their models were flawed. Carter nodded slowly, a plan forming in his mind. Then that's our advantage. And maybe, just maybe, it's what this coalition actually needs. 6 months passed. The human delegation remained on Valtharia Prime, learning and observing. Earth had sent more representatives, scientists, diplomats, and cultural experts. They spread throughout the Dyson sphere, meeting other species and studying Valtharian technology. Captain Carter met regularly with the High Council. He politely delayed giving a final answer about the protected species status. Instead, he proposed smaller agreements, limited technology exchanges, cultural sharing programs, and scientific partnerships. Olivia Morgan now worked with a team of Valtharian scientists. Her ability to question established theories made her both valuable and unsettling to her alien colleagues. Many Valtharian scientists began to secretly seek her opinion on their work. Peter Walsh spent time with the Coalition military forces, learning about their weapons and tactics. He noticed that only Valtharians held command positions, while other species served as ordinary soldiers and crew members. Lisa Fisher made friends with many non-Valtharian species. She learned their languages and customs. She heard their complaints and frustrations about Valtharian rule, though always spoken in whispers. Carter called his team together in their secure meeting room. "We've learned enough. It's time to return to Earth and report everything we've discovered." "The Council won't be happy," Walsh warned. "They've been waiting for our answer about joining the Coalition." "We'll tell them we need to consult with our full government," Carter replied. "They can't argue with that." Morgan looked troubled. "Some of the scientists I work with are starting to think differently. They're questioning old ideas. If we leave now, everything might go back to the way it was." "We can't stay here forever," Carter said gently. "We have a duty to report back." Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent message from Mentor Kellax. "Captain Carter, please come to the Council chamber immediately. There's been an incident." When they arrived, the Council chamber was in chaos. Valtharian security forces moved quickly through the halls. Council leader Xylox looked up as the humans entered. "A rebel force has attacked one of our main energy collection stations," Xylox said, his light patterns showing anger and surprise. 3 Valtharians were killed and significant damage was done. "Rebels?" Carter asked. "From where?" "A coalition of 3 species, the Zentari, the Bernali, and the Mectol," Xylox replied. "They claim to be fighting for freedom from Valtharian oppression." Carter chose his words carefully. "I'm sorry for your losses. How can we help?" Xylox's patterns shifted to something like suspicion. "Did you know about this? Has Earth been in contact with these rebels?" "Absolutely not," Carter said firmly. "This is the first we've heard of any rebellion." After an uncomfortable silence, Xylox seemed to accept this. "The attack is already over. The rebels escaped, but we will find them. Their home worlds will face consequences for this act of terrorism." Carter felt a chill at these words. "What kind of consequences?" "Appropriate ones," Xylox said coldly. "Examples must be made." After leaving the Council chamber, Carter's team gathered again. "He's talking about collective punishment," Walsh said. "They're going to hurt innocent people to send a message." Fisher nodded. "I've heard rumors about rebellions before. The Valtharians always respond with overwhelming force." "We need to delay our departure," Carter decided. "If we leave now, we can't influence what happens next." Morgan added, "The rebels chose now to attack because of us. Our presence has given some species hope for change." "But we can't support a violent rebellion," Carter said. "There has to be another way." For the next few days, they gathered information about the rebels and the 3 species involved. Fisher spoke with her contacts among other coalition members. She learned that the Zentari, Bernali, and Mectol had suffered particularly harsh treatment from the Valtharians. Their home planets had been stripped of resources, leaving their people in poverty. Meanwhile, Walsh discovered that the Valtharians were preparing a massive military response. They planned to destroy major cities on all 3 rebel worlds as punishment. Carter requested an emergency meeting with Council leader Xylox. "The planned response to the rebel attack is too severe," Carter argued. "Destroying cities will kill millions of innocent people." Xylox's patterns showed confusion. "This is how we maintain order. The Valtharian way has kept peace in the Coalition for thousands of years. But is it truly peace if it's built on fear? Carter asked. What if there's a better way? What if you could address the rebels' concerns instead of punishing their entire species? Their concerns? Xylox seemed genuinely surprised. They are provided for. They receive our protection. But they have no voice in how they're governed, Carter pointed out. No representation on the High Council. No control over their own resources. Xylox dismissed these arguments. They are not Valtharians. They lack our wisdom and perspective. Carter left the meeting discouraged. The Valtharians couldn't see beyond their own superiority. That night, he made a difficult decision. We need to meet with the rebels, he told his team. Not to support them, but to prevent a massacre. That would violate our diplomatic status, Walsh warned. The Valtharians could see it as treason. I know the risks, Carter replied. But I can't stand by and watch millions die. Using Fisher's contacts, they arranged a secret meeting with rebel leaders. Morgan developed a way to block Valtharian surveillance by creating quantum distortions that mimicked natural phenomena. Days later, they met 3 alien leaders in an abandoned maintenance tunnel deep within the Dyson sphere. The Gentari leader, Commander Vex, was tall with 4 arms and gray skin. The Brunali representative, Elder Sora, was small with large eyes and a face that showed great age. The Mechtold general, Kraz, had metallic skin and glowing red eyes. Why should we trust humans? Kraz demanded. You are guests of the Valtharians. We don't support your violent methods, Carter said honestly. But we don't support the Valtharians' planned response either. Destroying your cities won't solve anything. We tried peaceful protest for generations, Vex said bitterly. The Valtharians ignored us. Violence will only make things worse, Carter argued. The Valtharians have overwhelming military power. You can't win that way. Then how? Asked Elder Sora. Our people suffer while the Valtharians take everything. Morgan stepped forward. In my time working with Valtharian scientists, I've noticed something. They respect evidence and logical arguments. They've ruled so long they've forgotten how to listen, but they can learn. What are you suggesting? Vex asked. A different kind of rebellion, Carter explained. Present your grievances formally, with evidence. Request a public hearing before representatives from all coalition species. Make it impossible for the Valtharians to dismiss you without losing face. And if they refuse? Kraz asked. Then you've lost nothing, Carter replied. But there are Valtharians who are beginning to question the old ways. Give them a chance to help change the system from within. The rebel leaders were skeptical but desperate. After hours of discussion, they agreed to try Carter's approach. In return, Carter promised to personally ensure their safe passage to the council chamber. As they left the secret meeting, Walsh whispered to Carter, Do you really think this will work? Carter looked at his security chief. I don't know. But I do know that both sides need to try something new. The balance of power here has been static for too long. Maybe it's time for a shift. The next day, Captain Carter requested an emergency session of the High Council. The massive chamber was filled with representatives from all coalition species, along with the Valtharian leaders. Whispers spread through the crowd when Carter entered with the rebel leaders walking freely beside him. What is the meaning of this? Council leader Xylox demanded, his body flashing with patterns of anger. These are wanted criminals. They are representatives of their people, Carter replied calmly. They have come under my protection to present formal grievances, as is their right under coalition law. Xylox paused. Carter had studied Valtharian legal texts carefully. He knew that technically, all coalition species had the right to petition the council, though none had dared to do so in centuries. Very well, Xylox said finally. Let them speak. Then they will face justice. Commander Vex of the Zentari stepped forward first. Unlike the attack on the energy station, this time he came with data, not weapons. He displayed holographic images of his homeworld before and after Valtherian mining operations. The lush forests and clear lakes of the past were replaced by barren wastelands and polluted water. 90% of our natural resources have been taken, Vex stated. Our people work in Valtherian factories, but cannot afford medicine or education. This is not protection. This is exploitation. Elder Sora spoke next, her small voice growing stronger as she continued. The Brunali were once known for our medical science. Now our hospitals lack basic supplies, while our best medicines are sent to Valtheria Prime. Our children die from diseases that could be easily treated. General Kraz presented military records showing how Mek'Tol soldiers had the highest casualty rates in coalition forces but received the lowest benefits and never advanced to leadership positions. The council chamber was silent. Many Valtherian council members seemed genuinely surprised by this information. Other species in the audience nodded in recognition of similar experiences. Olivia Morgan had been quietly scanning the emotional light patterns of the Valtherians during the presentations. She whispered to Carter, some of them didn't know. They really believed they were being benevolent rulers. Finally, after all three rebel leaders had spoken, Xylox stood to respond. These accusations are serious, but one-sided. The Coalition provides security, technology, and civilization to all member species. If there have been imbalances in resource allocation, they can be addressed through proper channels, not through terrorist attacks. When we tried to use proper channels, our messages were ignored, Vex countered. For 50 years, we sent formal requests for meetings. Not one was granted. A Valtherian council member named Telex, who had been quietly listening, suddenly spoke up. Is this true? Were formal petitions ignored? The chamber fell silent again. No one had expected a council member to question official policy. I believe there may have been some administrative oversights, Xylox admitted reluctantly. Carter saw his opportunity. Perhaps what's needed is a new system for addressing concerns from all coalition species. A forum where all voices can be heard equally. Impossible, Xylox declared. The Valtherians must lead. That is the natural order. Leadership doesn't have to mean complete control, Carter suggested. On Earth, many nations have representative governments where leaders are chosen by the people they serve. A primitive system, Xylox dismissed. Is it? Telex asked, surprising everyone again. Perhaps there is wisdom in different perspectives. These humans have traveled among the stars for less than a century, yet they've made remarkable progress. Their approach might offer fresh insights. The debate continued for hours. Other council members began asking questions, some supporting Xylox's traditional view, others showing interest in Carter's ideas. Throughout the chamber, representatives of other species watched in amazement as Valtherians actually debated with each other instead of presenting a unified front. When the session finally ended, no final decision had been made. The rebel leaders were not arrested but were placed under house arrest pending further discussions. Most importantly, the planned punishment of their homeworlds was suspended. Later that evening, Carter and his team met with Telex in private. You've caused quite a disruption, Captain, Telex said, his light patterns showing a mix of concern and curiosity. Many on the council are uncomfortable with these new ideas. Change is often uncomfortable, Carter replied, but sometimes necessary. Telex's patterns shifted to something Morgan interpreted as thoughtful consideration. For 10,000 years, we Valtherians have guided the Coalition. We believed our advanced age and technology gave us the right and responsibility to rule. I never questioned this. Until recently. What changed your mind? Morgan asked. You did, Telex said simply. Humans. You approach problems differently. You question everything. You see possibilities where we see only established patterns. Walsh looked skeptical. One meeting won't change thousands of years of Valtharian control. No, Telex agreed, but it's a beginning. Several council members have already contacted me privately. They too have had doubts about our current system, but never dared express them. Fisher, who had been quiet, finally spoke. The other species are talking too. For the first time, they're speaking openly about changes they want to see. There's hope where before there was only resignation. 2 days later, the High Council announced the formation of a new Coalition Reform Committee. The committee would include representatives from all Coalition species, who would work together to propose changes to Coalition governance. Carter was invited to join as a human representative and mediator. I'm honored, he told Xylox, but I must return to Earth soon to report to my government. Then send others, Xylox said. His pattern showed reluctance, but also a new kind of respect. Humans have unique perspectives that may be valuable in this process. As Carter prepared for the journey home, he received a message from Earth. The United Nations Space Command had reviewed all his reports about the Valtharians and the Coalition. They had made a decision about humanity's relationship with the powerful alien civilization. Admiral Samantha Wright, Carter's superior officer, appeared on the screen. Captain, your work has been exemplary. Based on your findings, we've decided on a new approach to the Valtharians. We won't accept their offer of protected species status. Instead, we propose a different kind of relationship. What kind of relationship, Admiral? Carter asked. Partnership, Wright replied. Equal exchange of knowledge and resources. Cultural and scientific collaboration. And most importantly, we'll offer to help mediate between the Valtharians and other Coalition species. Carter smiled. The Valtharians may not accept those terms. They've been the dominant power for millennia. Then we'll be patient, Wright said. From what you've reported, change has already begun. Sometimes the most powerful shift isn't quick or dramatic. Sometimes it happens slowly, one mind at a time. As the communication ended, Carter looked out the window at the massive Dyson sphere that housed the most technologically advanced civilization in the known galaxy. For all their power and knowledge, the Valtharians had something to learn from. Humanity, the value of diversity, creativity, and equal partnership. The journey home would take weeks, but Carter knew this was just the beginning. The balance of the galaxy had started to shift, not through war or conquest, but through ideas and understanding. And somehow, humans had become the catalyst for that change. 5 years passed since the first meeting between humans and Valtharians. The galaxy had changed in ways no one could have predicted. William Carter, now Admiral Carter, stood on the observation deck of the Earth Diplomatic Station, orbiting Valtharia. Prime, the massive Dyson sphere still impressed him, but now it was home to more than just Valtharians. Representatives from all Coalition species lived and worked there, many in positions of real authority. Carter watched as the newest ship in the joint Earth Coalition fleet prepared for its maiden voyage. A vessel was called Unity, and its mission was to explore beyond the known regions of space. Unlike the old Coalition ships, which had been crewed entirely by Valtharians, with other species serving in lower positions, Unity had a diverse crew from 12 different worlds. Its captain was a human, Olivia Morgan, now one of the most respected scientists in the Coalition. Quite a view, isn't it? Said a familiar voice behind him. Carter turned to see Telex, now the new council leader of the Coalition. The Valtharians. Light patterns showed calm satisfaction. I never thought I'd see this day, Carter admitted. A truly cooperative mission between all our peoples. Neither did I, Telex replied. For 10,000 years, the Valtharians believed we alone could lead the galaxy. We were wrong. The two leaders watched as smaller vessels moved around Unity, making final preparations for launch. "How is Xylox adjusting to retirement?" Carter asked. Talax's patterns shifted to something like amusement. "Better than expected. He's writing a history of the Coalition. He claims he wants to record the truth, not just the Valtharian perspective. People can change," Carter observed. "Some more slowly than others," Talax agreed. "There are still Valtharians who believe in the old ways, but they grow fewer each year." A young human aide approached them. "Admiral, the ceremony is about to begin. They're waiting for you." Carter nodded and followed the aide to the main conference room. It was filled with diplomats, scientists, and military officers from Earth and dozens of Coalition worlds. At the center of the room was a large table made from materials from every member world, including a piece of oak from Earth. Peter Walsh, now Earth's head of security for Coalition affairs, moved to Carter's side. "Everything is secure, Admiral. All dignitaries are present." "Any sign of trouble?" Carter asked quietly. "None," Walsh replied. "Even the most conservative Valtharian factions have accepted the new reality. It's been 2 years since the last protest." Lisa Fisher, who had become Earth's chief diplomat to the Coalition, joined them. "The Centauri delegation wants to thank you personally, Admiral. Their world has made a remarkable recovery since the resource-sharing agreements were implemented." "I'm just glad we found a peaceful solution," Carter said. The room fell silent as Elder Sora of the Brunali took the central position. Though now very old, her voice was strong as she addressed the gathering. "Today, we celebrate not just the launch of a new ship, but the 5th anniversary of the Coalition Reform Treaty. 5 years ago, we began a journey more difficult than any space exploration, the journey from mistrust to cooperation, from inequality to partnership." She gestured to the Valtharians present. "Our oldest and most technologically advanced members have shown true wisdom by embracing change. They have shared their knowledge freely while learning from others in return." Then she nodded to the humans. "And our newest members have brought fresh perspectives that have benefited us all. Human creativity, adaptability, and willingness to question established ideas have transformed the Coalition." From his position at the back of the room, Carter thought about how much had changed. The Coalition was now governed by a council with elected representatives from all member species. Resources were shared more fairly. Member worlds had autonomy over their internal affairs. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. The ceremony continued as representatives from each species spoke about the future of the Coalition. When it was Carter's turn, he kept his remarks brief. 5 years ago, humans were unknown in this region of space. We arrived with a small ship and limited technology. By all traditional measures of power, we should have had little influence in galactic affairs. But power isn't just about technology or military strength. Sometimes the greatest power comes from seeing things differently and asking questions others haven't thought to ask. After the ceremony, Carter met privately with Captain Morgan before she boarded Unity. "Nervous?" he asked his former science officer. Morgan smiled. "A little. We'll be gone for 2 years, exploring regions no one has ever mapped, but I have an excellent crew. The best in the Coalition," Carter agreed. "And the most diverse. That's our real strength," Morgan said. "The Valtharian scientists see patterns I miss. The Centauri engineers approach problems from angles I never considered. The Brunali medical team has insights none of the rest of US would have. Together, we're better than any single species could be alone." Carter nodded. That's what the Valtharians needed to learn, and what humanity needed to remember. They walked to the viewing window and looked out at Unity. It's sleek, design incorporating elements of technology from multiple worlds. "Do you remember what you said when we first encountered the Valtharian ship?" Morgan asked. You said humanity didn't get to the stars by hiding, but by taking calculated risks. I remember, Carter said. That's what changed the Valtharians. Morgan continued. Not our technology or our weapons, but our willingness to take risks, to try new approaches. They had grown so cautious over their long lives that they stopped innovating, stopped questioning. And now? Carter asked. Now they're learning to take risks again, Morgan replied. To trust others, to see value in different perspectives. As they spoke, Unity's engines began to glow, preparing for departure. The massive ship would soon venture into the unknown, carrying with it the hopes and curiosity of a dozen worlds. On the main deck of Unity, a Valtharian officer worked alongside a Zentari engineer, their past enmity forgotten as they focused on their shared mission. In the medical bay, human doctors exchanged knowledge with Brunali healers. In the navigation center, Mech Toll and human. Pilots plotted the course together. Carter watched the ship slowly move away from the station. Safe journey, Captain, he said quietly, though Morgan could no longer hear him. As Unity accelerated and then disappeared into faster-than-light travel, Carter reflected on the strange path that had brought them all to this moment. When humans first met the Valtharians, they had seemed impossibly powerful, almost godlike in their technology and longevity. Yet for all their advancement, they had needed something only humans could provide, a new perspective, a willingness to question the established order. The most powerful species in the galaxy had met humans, and the balance had shifted, not through conquest or domination, but through understanding and cooperation. That, Carter thought, was humanity's greatest strength, not what they could build or destroy, but how they could inspire others to build something better together.